It's Tuesday, April 11th, 2023. This is the zero-time award-winning podcast, Yolo Braintrust.
Close.
Broadcasting live from the industrially ravaged Lake Erie in the heartland of America, downtown Buffalo, USA. Happy Dingus Day, Travis.
Happy So, what is Dingus Day? Is that like a thing?
Yeah, of course it's a thing. The thing, yeah, obviously everyone knows what it is. You're just joking, right?
No, I'm not joking. What is Dingus Day?
Dingus Day is the greatest holiday ever.
Uh-huh. Is this a joke?
No, of course not. No, Dingus Day is great. Dingus Day is the end of Lent. And it's the best holiday. The best holiday. It's a Polish holiday, and it's a drinking holiday. And honestly, I can't remember much of Dingus Day.
So, did you celebrate?
Oh yeah, I celebrated. Did you have a good Dingus Day, Travis? Did you have a good Dingus Day? I had a great Dingus Day.
I've never met a Polish person.
Well,
I think it's time to just. I thought you said you wanted me to act like I didn't know what it was.
I told you I wanted you to act like everyone knows what it is. All right? Like
yeah, I thought it was everyone but me.
Everyone, including you. Like it's like Christmas. Like everyone in the world knows what Christmas is. That's the point. That was the joke.
Oh.
I wanted you to be like Happy Dingus Day and like just accept that it is like. I wanted you to be like that. Obvious.
No one's watching this. We can do a take.
All right, we can start it again. We're gonna start it again. Don't end the stream. We're just gonna start it again. I want you to don't even cut yourself off. Too. Just wish me a Happy Dingus Day. You're like Happy Dingus Day.
Hold on. Let me get in a good position here.
Fucking idiot, dude. Literally,
dude.
Completely.
That's what happens when I'm like at the.
You took your headphones off for the 1 minute that I was like trying to explain it to you,
Listen,
and then I said,
like
did you miss it? And you're like, no, I got it. I'm good.
Have you ever seen the Apollo like launch room, and they've got all the dials and doodads? Like that's what it's like over here. I got 20 different things, and I'm trying to. Oh, he wants me to not know what Dingus Day is because I don't know what it is.
Everyone knows what Dingus Day is.
So how are we going to explain to the viewer what Dingus Day is?
Well, you're gonna be like, well, to the viewers at home that have lived under a rock. Let's explain to them what Dingus Day is.
Okay. All right. Well, we gotta.
I should just come up with scripts. Just have everything scripted.
Yeah, no, I should have paid a little more attention if we're being honest here, but that's neither here nor there. Give me just a second, so that way.
Take it from the beginning. We'll take it from the very beginning.
We'll take it from the beginning. This is not good. This is not good. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, thank God. For a second, I knocked the audio interface out. Nothing's going right now. Okay.
That should be the motto of the podcast. Nothing's going right.
Okay, hold on, Dude, and I put on sweatpants, and it's 80 degrees outside, and the house is like at 80 degrees, and I'm sweating through my sweatpants. So many things, and I screwed up every single one of them. What am I supposed to do about this? Okay, we're starting from the top here.
All right. It's Tuesday, April 11th, 2023. This is the Zero award-winning podcast, Yolo Braintrust, broadcasting live from the industrially ravaged Lake Erie in the heartland of America, downtown Buffalo, USA. Happy Dingus Day, Travis.
Happy Dingus Day. I'm so glad we got to celebrate it.
Yeah. You have a good Dingus Day, Travis?
I did. I went really heavy on the pussy willows, if you know what I mean.
Oh yeah, you got hit by a pussy willow, a couple of girls. I didn't see any girls that I wanted to squirt. But I definitely got some squirting happen to me. So I was fancied.
So you let the girls squirt on you? I always thought it only went one way, not the other.
Oh, it is supposed to go one way, but it's easier to, in the parade they'll squirt.
So you've kind of modernized it. You've reformed it a bit.
Oh, well, I haven't. They've modernized it. But yeah, I guess that is like if you if the guys are supposed to squirt who they fancy with water, I guess they squirt other guys with water.
Yeah.
Does that mean lesbians just beat the shit out of each other with twigs?
Well, I've always thought that that the men are supposed to be the ones going after the woman with the pussy willows, if we're being honest.
No, you got it backwards. The men squirt the water, and then the women hit them back with the pussy willows.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Really glad Poland's added a lot to our culture, and glad to live in a place where there's a lot of Polish people and a lot of Polish culture.
Oh yeah, it's beautiful. I had a lot of kielbasa yesterday, a lot of pierogi. Delicious. You have any kielbasa or pierogi?
No, I had a Polish friend in high school. His dad was super Polish, but never had dinner over there.
You didn't have any good Polish food? Any good Polish beer yesterday?
Not much of a drinker. I get in on the other Polish activities.
What'd you give up for Lent? Travis.
Good question. Negative emotion, I guess. I've been working really hard at just trying to be a better person. I'm giving up a lack of motivation and I'm replacing it with a motivation. Does it?
So it sounds like you're not gonna take part in that, even though Lent's over. You're gonna keep on trucking then, eh?
Well, if we're being honest, I grew up Methodist, right? My paternal family was Irish, but we got adopted into an English family, circa 1800, and so future generations were Protestant, and never really celebrated Lent. I remember going to an Ash Wednesday as a kid. I forget why. It wasn't for us, but we were going with someone else. And in 7th grade, I gave up soda for Lent. No reason for me to do it. I'm not Catholic. But I actually ended up not really drinking soda much after that for years. I hated the taste of soda, even though beforehand I was having like 2 to 6 Dr. Peppers a day. So that was my big win with Lent, and I think as a Protestant, I've kind of did everything you need to do with it. What'd you give up?
Fair enough. Gave up weed.
How'd that go?
Went well. I didn't touch the stuff for 3 months, and then I went pretty hard on Dingus Day.
Yeah. Was it? Do you think it was worth giving up?
Yeah, I definitely. No, I definitely think it was worth it. I mean, it was I didn't need it. It was fine, and I think I'm just gonna. I mean, I don't do that much. My grandma would always give up chocolate for Lent. That was her thing. So it's like, it's something that it doesn't have to be something that like you abuse, It just
right, yeah.
So I was fine.
Was it tough getting used to it first? Because I know from people I know.
Not really.
Giving up weed, sometimes you can have like nightmares at first, and it's not like physically depending, but there's a bit of a withdrawal.
No, there were a couple of times where it's like, man, I could really relax right now. Could go for a joint, but. No, wasn't that big of a deal.
Yeah, in the Texas, yeah.
You go to church yesterday at all, or today for Easter?
No. When I was the biggest churchgoer as a kid. I went every Sunday. I actually went for 2 services every Sunday because I went with my granddad and my grandma, and they would go for, I think it was like the 9 or the 9:30 and the 11:30. And I would go to both. And they had like a built-out like kid section. It was like a whole school, and it was awesome. But when my grandma got dementia, we stopped going to church, and ever since, never really have gone for anything. Although I have been reading the Bible, and interestingly enough, reading about the story that led to Passover, you know, the Jews escaping, were they Jews at that point? The Israelites escaping Egypt. That happened to coincide with the actual Passover itself. So I was doing something vaguely religious, at least.
Well, there you go.
It's kind of my objective to read through the entire Bible. You know, you give it like 15, 30 minutes at night.
It's
One day I'll finish
I know people that try that, yeah.
I read the entire New Testament, or at least the 4 Gospels in college. I joined like a Christian group, and I read through it. I don't know why I joined a Christian group. I think I was looking for a club, and they got me before I joined another, and I kind of enjoyed it. Although, you know, I didn't really want to go to church on Sundays. And I eventually quit when one of the guys was like, you know, I don't think gays should marry. But it got me believing again.
And you were like, well, I guess I'm not squirting you with my water gun.
Yeah.
Guess you're not getting hit with the pussy well.
I think the guy took it a little personally too, but it was like, it's not a personal thing. I think I was kind of looking for an out, and it was like, all right, that's, you know, that's kind of a crazy thing to hear in, you know, 2016.
Fair enough.
So, we've got big news tonight. Let me clear my throat real quick. We've got big news tonight. Bobby over here has beat Ocarina of Time for the first time, and do you want me to give your age?
Yeah, I'm in my late 20s now.
Yeah, we'll say late 20s.
Mid to late 20s.
So, I mean, you know, Ocarina of Time, I mean, for me, I got it in the GameCube Collector's Edition. When they were
never had a N64. Let me tell you why it's taking me this long to beat it. I grew up with a SNES, and then the next console I got was an Xbox 360 when I was in high school. So I went from SNES to Xbox 360. The only other gaming systems I had all the handhelds. So I played Game Boy, and then Game Boy Advance SP, and then DS, and then I had a DSi, and then I had a 3DS XL. And so I bought Ocarina of Time 3D. I don't want to say when it came out, but when I got my 3DS.
Yeah.
At some point I bought it. Kind of later on when I got it, and I just never got around to playing it. I don't know why. I just never. I think by the time I got it, it was like I was getting ready to go to college and just didn't have the time. That's when I got my computer. I got a gaming computer, and I just started playing PC games. But I never got around to playing it.
My life be like.
That is what they say.
Thank you.
So I never got around to playing it, and then finally I did.
Wait,
play it.
Can you hear this?
Hear
oh,
what?
It's not pinned to anything anymore.
My life.
Interesting. Oh. All my other keybinds are gone. All right. Anyways.
Yeah, so I have now beaten.
Yeah.
Ocarina of Time. 3D. I played the 3DS version of it. I've heard it's a decent port. And listen, here's my hot take.
Say that again.
Hourglass.
Here's your
my hot take. Here's my Ocarina of Time hot take. Phantom Hourglass might be better. And I know that's a you know, an outrageous thing to say, but having played Ocarina of Time on a Nintendo DS, I think just the console, people just like that it was on a console. Like if you were able to put Phantom Hourglass on a console, not that you can, but if you were able, like maybe Wii U, right? Like I think it would be better. People would be like, this is way better than Ocarina of Time. It's an epic game.
I think that's not only a hot take, but I think it's objectively a bad one. But we'll get to the Phantom Hourglass in a minute. So just to reiterate, you're in your late 20s. You know, you and I are about the same age. The game came out, you know, in our lifetimes. Of course, I was too young to play it when it came out. It came with my GameCube. I got the collector's edition with my GameCube, which included Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, the first 2 games, and a demo of the Wind Waker. And my dad used to have to read all the dialogue to me, because I started playing it before I could read, and he would make up, like, these backstories for the characters.
Jesus, you played video games very young.
I did. So, you know, I mean, the first time I played it was 20 years ago now. But, so you're approaching this from someone who was around the right, you know, age to have experienced it when it was relatively new, and you didn't. So, focusing on Ocarina of Time, what did you think about it?
I mean, I thought it was very good. I thought it was very fun. There's a lot of moments in it where I said, I kept thinking, like, is this the best Zelda game ever? And there were a bunch of moments where as soon as I forgot that I was thinking about that, I said, this game is a lot of fun. This is a very good game. So I think if you stop trying to think whether or not it's the best game, it's a very fun game. It's got a lot of cool elements. There's a lot of cool dungeons. There's a lot of frustrating moments that are like, oh, okay. But it's pretty good. I can see if you're a kid, it's a lot more difficult than me playing it.
Scary too.
There were a lot of moments where it's like, okay, this is not that difficult. And then there are a lot of moments where I'm like, I have literally no concept of what I'm supposed to do. Is the Sheikah, like, is the hint system in the original game?
No, I don't believe so. I never finished the 3D port, but there are the what do they call them? The Gossip Stones. But they function a little bit differently.
Do they not tell the time?
They tell the time, but do the Gossip Stones in that game, is that where you're getting the hints from?
No, the Gossip Stones only tell the time.
Okay.
You blink them and they just, all they say is, it is
Right.
such and such a clock.
Okay.
But there's like the Sheikah Stone, there's one like outside Link's house in the forest, and then there's one in the Temple of Time. And then those will give you like visions of the future, like little hints.
Oh, no.
Okay, I didn't think that was part of the original game. There were a couple of times where it's like I really needed that. There's like a couple of times where it's just like I have no idea what the fuck I'm supposed to be doing. Like, what am I supposed to be doing here? That there seemed like there was no way, like they didn't really give you much of a hint. Which maybe if it's just like your only game, and you're playing it and you're young and you're like you just want to experience it, that's great. But when you're like trying to just get through the whole game relatively quickly, I was just like trying to just play it because I wanted to get through it. It was a little annoying. I also didn't do many of the side quests. I got one mask. I did one mask, and I got the blue pocket cuckoo, but I didn't know what the hell to use it for, so I didn't do anything else with it.
Well, if you talk to Anju, or I think in that game she's just called the Cuckoo Lady.
Yeah.
But if you talk to her, I think she says you needed to give it to her brother in the Lost Woods. And it's worth doing because, without spoiling it, you get a massive item that's definitely worth it.
Oh, you get another item? Oh. Well, you don't need to do it because I didn't do it and I was able to beat the game.
Well, you want me to tell you what it is?
Sure,
I don't
I'm
think
probably
anyone
not going to
watching
play it
this
again, yeah.
Gonna be surprised by it.
Spoiler
It's called the
alert.
Big Goron Sword, and it gives you a
Oh,
replacement
that's
to
how you get the
Master
third sword. Okay.
Sword. Yes.
Okay, because I saw there's a spot in the thing, there's like a third sword. I was like, I wonder what this is.
Yeah, a staple of the Zelda series has always been trading side quests, and that was this game's version. It goes in a lot of different directions. And once you give the blue cuckoo, I think it's a little more explicit in telling you where to go. It's like, oh, go tell my mom or my grandma at the potion shop that I need this, and then she gives it back, and then, a lot of back and forth, but it typically tells you where to go. But at the end of it, you end up getting the Big Goron Sword.
So this is where the Phantom Hourglass, they had a whole economy. It was like shops that you'd buy and sell things at.
So,
collect
what'd you think of
fish.
the temples in Ocarina of Time?
Let's see. Let me look through the. Let me go to the wiki so I don't forget any of the temples. Because I thought they were great. I thought the only one that I didn't like was. What was the temples? Temples. All right. I'm just gonna look up Ocarina of Time.
Maybe we would get some based in Smegma polled viewers. I think so. I think, Kevin, there's this man we have on from time to time who is, you know, I would say he's more red pilled than Andrew Tate. We don't have him tonight, unfortunately, but you know, he's a pretty cool dude, and we need him to balance out the chemistry.
Yeah, unfortunately, he's in the hospital because he was sucking dong too hard, and so they need to do emergency mouth
Sigma
surgery.
males don't like women, because that's too gay.
So they only do no pussy willow branches for them.
Oh, fuck off. So I'm gonna guess the temple you don't like was the water temple.
Let's see. So the Temple of Light. I don't remember the Temple.
Temple
of
of
Light.
Light is not in the game. It was cut and replaced with just the Temple of Time. You get the medallion for free.
Yeah, right.
Kevin, I don't know what you're talking about when you're saying it's me, you dope. But, we're talking about our good friend Scott.
Yeah, Scott Shaw. Yeah.
Scott Shaw, yeah.
Yeah, Kevin. I don't know who the heck you think you are, Kevin Hamilton. If that really is your real government name, I have no reason to believe that is not your government name. So, I'm gonna assume at face value that you were Kevin Hamilton. And so I have no idea what you're talking about. So Forest Temple. Forest Temple was good. I like the Forest Temple a lot. That was cool. That had a really cool vibe.
It reminds me, I totally forgot to get the live stuff set up. So you like the Forest Temple?
The Fire Temple I liked too. The Fire Temple was cool. I didn't get stuck that much on the Fire Temple. There was one I really didn't like. Maybe it was the water. The water temple.
Well, that's typically the one people don't like.
I did the water temple without the tunic, so that took me forever because I had to like keep coming up for air.
Wait, how did you even? How?
You just have to have a lot of hearts. You get a minute and 28 seconds.
No, but how did you not get it?
Because I forgot to go unthaw the king.
Interesting.
Shadow Temple was really cool. The Shadow Temple was really cool. That's the one where you have to use the fancy thing. Which one I'm trying to think of the one I didn't like.
Was it the Spirit Temple?
No, the Spirit Temple wasn't bad. Spirit Temple was cool. Temple of Time.
Well, that's not an actual temple.
Yeah. Temple of I feel like there was one of the earlier temples I didn't like. What's the order you do the temples in? You do Forest Temple, then Fire Temple.
Do you think you're thinking of a kids one, maybe?
Maybe.
Sorry, I had to get because YouTube doesn't let you, for anyone at home who's thinking about doing their own YouTube stream, YouTube has some problems with the live event, so you have to, once you start streaming, you have to update all the information there. So I'll tell you everything in order. First one is, the Great Deku Tree, followed by...
That was cool, that was fine, that was easy, I mean, it was simple, yep.
Okay, followed by Dodongo's Cavern. Jabu Jabu's
Dodongo's
Belly.
Cavern wasn't bad. I hated Jabu Jabu's Belly.
Is that the one you're thinking of?
No, there's definitely a temple. I did not like Jabu Jabu's Belly. That was very annoying.
Well, those... Could it be beneath the well? That's where you go back and, you go inside the well.
No, I didn't mind bottom of the well. Maybe it was... Maybe it was the forest temple. There were a couple of points of the forest temple that I was like, oh, it took me a while to figure it out.
Yeah, there's some
But it was,
spots where it's a little obtuse, right? Because I think we talked about it before. There's like that one key that's in the
yeah,
main room.
yeah. Maybe it was just a water temple I didn't like. But it had a cool mechanic.
Yeah.
Or the shadow or the spirit temple, one of those two I didn't like. Spirit temple's in the desert Colossus.
Yeah, you remember? It's the one where, as you get up to it, there's the giant, like, statue of their god.
Oh, the spirit temple is epic! I love the spirit
Good,
temple because
okay. Yeah,
that was the one where you actually have to go back and forth in time.
yeah.
Yeah, that was cool. That was really cool.
Was that your favorite
maybe
one?
maybe the shadow temple I didn't like, but I really liked bottom of the well. I think that's what it is. I liked bottom of the well, but the shadow temple was alright. I don't
Shadow
know.
Temple scared me as a kid. That and Beneath the Well. I mean, the Dead Hand, the mini boss. You couldn't get away with that in a rated E game anymore.
Yeah.
Like, I remember screaming the first time I saw it, and then you have to fight it twice.
Yeah, maybe there aren't that many bad temples. Maybe there wasn't a temple I didn't like. The fire temple I didn't mind. As much as you say you hate the fire temple, I didn't mind that one.
I don't hate it. I liked it as a kid. It's just the one that, like, on subsequent playthroughs, I care for it the least, probably.
I
Because
think
the water temple at least makes up in aesthetic.
yeah, I don't know. It just maybe it's not so much the temples as it was the bosses. I didn't like a lot of the bosses. They were kind of mid. Like the spirit temple boss, the two witches.
Yes,
Very
you didn't
mid.
like that one?
It was too easy to understand. Like so some of them it's like some of them it took me too long to figure out what the trick was.
Yeah.
And some of them the trick was too easy. The problem is once you figure out the trick, it's over. Like that's it. You just do the same motion 5 times, then they die. And the difficulty is literally just figuring out what the trick is. And by the time you figure out what the trick is, like you've already died once. It's like, and then you're gonna come back with full health. So to me, that kind of like with Ganon, like Ganondorf. Ganon was pretty good. Ganon didn't have it, but Ganondorf,
Yeah.
like I died the first time playing Ganondorf because I forgot that you have to like what the trick was. Fully die the first time, come back with brand new stuff the second time. Able to kill Ganondorf like literally so easily. Because it was just like insanely easy because I just knew the trick and I knew how to avoid it and I knew how to not die. And it was too easy in my mind for that. Ganon took me three times to beat him.
Well, if I can add a counterpoint real quick to Ganondorf, I think the difficulty with him isn't so much the strategy as it is timing the... It's a thing that recurs. They call it Dead Man's Volley, where you're swinging the ball back and forth. The timing on that is, I think, the real
Yeah, but once you
challenge.
get the timing down, it's easy.
Sort of. I mean, it increases. It
Yeah, but
decreases.
I mean, the hitbox, like, you can get the timing down pretty easily. Ganon was tricky, just because I kept running out of arrows, and then it took me a while to realize, oh, I can also use the hook shot. But I mean, other than that, it's... I don't know. The bosses were kind of mid. There's a lot of stuff that was very... meticulous, and kind of felt like it was filler. Like it took longer than it needed to, and it was like, oh, I gotta keep putzing with this.
So
that
uh-huh.
that I didn't like.
What'd you think about... we'll just say it this way. Across time, and even to this day, although I think you see a little bit of controversy in some lists, like IGN did a top 100 games of all time list, I think in like 2021 or 2019, something like that. And what was traditionally the #1 spot, Ocarina of Time, was replaced with Breath of the Wild. So Breath of the Wild actually, another Zelda game, supplanted Ocarina of Time as IGN's best game ever. But historically, and still with some lists, you see Ocarina of Time listed as being the best game ever. Do you think it deserves that reputation?
No, I think a lot of that is nostalgia. I think a lot of it is nostalgia, and maybe this is why I say Phantom Hourglass is better, because to me that was my childhood growing up Zelda game, like the one that really impacted me, and I spent a lot of time on. And maybe Ocarina of Time, I mean, if you played it back in the day, your first playthrough, and you're always going to be bound by your first playthrough, the context of your first playthrough. And you can say, oh, I played it again, but you're always going to think about your first playthrough.
Well, you're a computer guy.
In the context of that, I can see how you think it's such a big open world. I mean, the Hyrule isn't that big in Ocarina of Time.
I'm not gonna lie. There are some ways where it almost feels, and I know this isn't true, but it almost feels bigger than Breath of the Wild's Hyrule, because you have more temples and things to interact with. It feels, and it's because you have separate zones. Like, think about you go out of the Kokiri Forest and you were to, first thing, and this is what I did, is instead of going into the Hyrule Castle Town, you beeline it for the Gerudo Valley, and you see that massive waterfall, and you're just going in for the first time, and then you fall down into the waterfall, and you end up at Lake Hylia. To me, that rings as being way bigger than going from zone to zone in Breath of the Wild's Hyrule, just because of how they lead you. Because it's not actually open world, right? It's trying to linearly lead you from one place to another while making you think it's bigger than it is.
Yeah,
and I think it works.
I strongly disagree. Now, I don't know if the 3DS version has shrunk the world down, and if that's the case, then maybe that's what it is. Yeah. But
no, I mean, I think you're probably right.
It takes like a minute to walk across the Hyrule. Like the main thing, Hyrule Garden or Field or whatever, takes like a minute. It takes like maybe another minute to get to the Spirit Temple, and you have the desert and stuff, which was cool, but that's kind of a scripted thing along.
Yeah.
Where the other day I picked up Breath of the Wild, because that's the next game I'm going to try and beat. I got to beat Breath of the Wild before I finish, before Tears of the Kingdom comes out. I played Breath of the Wild. Here, open up the map real quick.
Here we go.
I'm delayed a little bit.
Yeah.
So I went from the upper right. I can't. You're fucking
Elden or Akala.
Yes. Yeah, Akala. Your face cam's in the way.
Oh yeah, right. Here.
So I went from Akala.
Zoom it in.
Like the Akala stables on horseback. Right, yep, all the way down to yeah, from not deep Akala, but down a little bit, down.
Well, this is where the stable is.
Yeah, that's the stables. Yeah, you're right. So all the way down south to Gerudo Desert, to the desert. So I went across the entire map. So from there, southwest.
And you had to go all the way.
Nope, not. I went down the other route.
Well, I mean,
but yeah,
this
pretty
is the
much
only one
that.
with
Yeah,
like an actual route. But
yeah,
I know what you mean.
I mean, so I went down all the way down to there. Took me a solid 15 minutes, and it felt like I was going into different zones, because Akala was there's a thunderstorm happening in Akala, so I had to unequip all of my metal shit going on because I was getting zapped by lightning. And then you get to the middle bit, like the Hyrule Field area, and there's all the guardians that I had to like avoid getting shot by a guardian, and then you get down to the desert, and it's like a completely different feel there. And the whole time, here's the big thing. Now I don't know, maybe they got rid of this in the 3DS version, but in the N64 version, are there NPCs that like exist in the Hyrule field? Not enemies, but like non-violent NPCs.
There's one. There is the Running Man, who later became known as the Postman. You've probably seen him if you played.
Oh yeah, the
Smash Bros.
Postman
Or something like that. Yeah.
Well, the Postman's also in Minish Cap.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yep.
But that's it. It's just the Postman.
Yeah. I think it's just him.
Yeah. So
Sorry,
that's
I'm doing MLG strats over here.
Yeah, that's very different from Breath of the Wild. That whole 15 minutes where I'm traversing this land, first of all, I pass a gazillion enemies, right? And I'm constantly getting the battle music. But the other thing I pass are just tons of NPCs that are also traveling to different areas, and they're all also reacting to the environment in a similar way. Like, it's raining, it's pouring rain, so they're all also like scurrying around, like trying to like, you know, get out of the rain, and like it's affecting them. And then when I'm in the fields and there's like enemies, they're also like, you know, worried about the enemies and stuff. And it felt a lot more alive. And the other thing, it felt a lot more than in Ocarina of Time, especially when, you know, it's one thing in the early game, but once you get to after the adult Link era, right, like the 7,
Yeah.
you know, 70, it did not feel as nearly as post-apocalyptic as Breath of the Wild does. As the NPCs of Breath of the Wild make it feel like you are in this fallen society.
Well, yeah, but
Hyrule
Ocarina
has
of Time's
collapsed.
not supposed to be as apocalyptic.
Yeah, but I mean, it kind of is. I mean, the Hyrule Castle completely collapses in on itself, and
Oh well, yeah, okay, I see what you mean.
Ganondorf, you know, everyone has to go to the Kakariko village, and they're all like held up there, and it's like, you know, it's a very different feel. Like in Breath of the Wild, you look at the way the NPCs react and the way the NPCs are, and it feels like this is they are in a void, in a power void. How there is like, you know, a malignant force is affecting them, and their the society they grew up with and the safety and security they grew up with is gone. So you have merchants that act differently. You know?
Well, actually, if you didn't know, the game takes place 100 years after, and so all the NPCs, unless you're like a Zora, maybe the Rito, none of them were actually alive when Hyrule
Okay,
would
but
at its peak.
still, it's.
I'm just saying.
You're 2 lifetimes then. Like their
Uh-huh.
parents would have been alive, and the point is, it
100 years
feels
ago,
different.
probably not. It would be like their parents, their grandparents, great-parents, great-grandparents. I don't know. One of those.
The point is, it feels Breath of the Wild feels a lot more alive.
Uh-huh.
And so I definitely think Breath of the Wild's a better game. And I mean, part of that obviously is Breath of the Wild came out more recently, so it had, you know, 20 years of technology to increase. But Breath of the Wild just feels, it just feels more grand. It feels cooler. It feels just everything. It's an insane game. And I play it for 5 seconds, and I'm like, I can't believe people that don't like this game. And it feels like, and I understand people that say like, oh, well, it's not a real Zelda. It doesn't feel like a real Zelda game. And it's like, yeah, it doesn't feel like Minish Cap or like, you know, Ocarina of Time. Like, there's not temples, but it feels like an RPG's a Zelda RPG. It feels like what it is. It feels like this is what a Zelda game would be like if it were an RPG. If it were a full open world RPG, this is what it would feel like.
Well,
and they did it perfectly.
To add to your argument, to steelman you a little bit, it's probably the closest to the original Zelda. In a couple different ways. A lot of it being in the open worlds, more of a post-apocalyptic world. Giving you the option to do things in whatever order and kind of making you figure it out for yourself, I guess. So there is some truth to that.
Yeah, yeah, and it's a great game. It feels very. It's got this environment that is pretty epic in my mind.
Mm-hmm. So overall, did you still enjoy Ocarina of Time?
Oh, I definitely enjoyed Ocarina of Time. It was definitely a fun game. It was fun. It gave me that feel of. There were points that were like when I played. So I got my Switch for Odyssey, Super Mario Odyssey.
Yeah.
And so I played Super Mario Odyssey when it first came out, and playing Super Mario Odyssey, that game gave me this like, this is fun, like this sense of I don't know how to describe it, like true amusement, like true.
Yeah, it's just fun to play. You know, you
It's
play
a
like
fun game.
Like think about because you and I are kind of both City Skylines guys. I'm probably more into other Paradox games, but it's something you have to really work towards. You know, and the entertainment seems to be kind of downstream from some sort of action on your part. I think Mario's more instantly rewarding, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and it comes together. It's joyful. It comes together in a way that, like, a Rube Goldberg machine. It's kind of wonderful. That's really what it is. It gave me a sense of wonderment. Like, it was just wonderful. Like, I felt wonderful playing Odyssey, and that's kind of what. There are points out of Ocarina of Time where it just felt wonderful. Like I was full of wonder. Like literally wonderful. And it was there where I'd get a puzzle and I'd be like, oh, that's the puzzle, and it's like, this is fun. This is a good game. It's got good mechanics. It's fun. The puzzles are cool. It's just overall a good game. And so yeah, I definitely enjoyed Ocarina of Time. Definitely a good game. Probably, yeah, I'd probably say it is probably one of the best games I've ever played in that sense. If that is a metric for success of a game, does it fill you with wonder? Does it fill you with joy? Ocarina of Time does that.
Good.
So I definitely think it's a good game. But at the same breath, Mario Odyssey does that too.
Yeah.
Breath of the Wild does that too.
That's true. Yeah, one of my biggest problems with Breath of the Wild, and I'm sure I've talked about it endlessly, both with you and on the podcast at this point. But it just feels like it gives up some of the more refined aspects of Zelda, and it honestly feels too short. And I really mean that. Ocarina of Time feels longer to me. And I think some of it comes from just, only having 4 divine beasts and a lot of the game's segmented through shrines, which can take you a while, but it can also happen pretty quickly. And not having the same kind of storytelling through actual character interactions. Like Breath of the Wild, a lot of the story took place in the past, right? And you're kind of trying to regain your memory and work out what already happened. I just kind of I love the game and I enjoy every time I get to play it, but those are definitely some issues I have with it. Did that make sense?
Yeah, it definitely does. So I'm just watching you play Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like Ocarina of Breath of the Wild through sheer open worldness just inherently feels longer than Ocarina of Time.
Yeah. Well, and some of it too may have to do with warps. Right? I'm sure the game would feel a lot bigger if you don't use warps much. Are you much of a warp guy?
Oh, definitely huge warp guy.
Okay.
But still, I mean, I mean, that's one of the annoying things about Ocarina of Time is that you gotta walk everywhere and you gotta get... An opponent can only go so far.
Speaking of which, I was reading a little bit about, like, Celtic mythology today. And in, I think, Irish in particular, but it's a shared god across various, Celtic mythologies. They have a horse god, and the horse goddess is named Epona. I never knew that.
That makes sense. That's probably where they got the...
But, yeah, I'm a bit of a work guy myself, but, I try not to as much, but it's so easy to do, and it's right there in front of your face.
Yeah, I mean, it makes it very handy when you're, like, doing certain things.
So, you have a little bit of a disagreement that we need to get out there. Hold on.
This is some Phantom Hourglass stuff now? Or what's this spat? What's
We
this
could get to that
disagreement?
first if you want.
No. What are you talking about?
No, because
Talk
I
about
told
what-
you we'll get to it later, so we can touch the Phantom Hourglass stuff first. But give me just a second. My brain's still recovering from all these. Oh, you gotta be fucking me, dude. We're back. We're still in it. My brain's still recovering from all these high-level ideas.
Fair enough. Yeah, so here's my Phantom Hourglass take. Phantom
Hold up.
Hourglass. Oh,
I gotta recharge real quick, and I want to check something. We can do this in the meantime. Let's see if we get copyright striked.
well, I'm gonna check something too. Do you need a hand with anything, or nope? Were you just putting the back on? Oh. Why'd you put it on that way?
Reminds me of D.
I thought the black was supposed to face us.
No copyright strike. Amazing.
Oh, the other side's the same color? Oh, I thought one side was black and one side was... Okay, well then never mind, if that's the prettier side. I just see what you mean. Oh.
Mm.
Oh shit, sorry. Bag 3 that's bag 3, let me hand it to you. Yep.
I screwed up the whole damn thing.
What? Yeah, I gotta say... Travis, you mind if I take a second real quick?
Yeah.
Okay. Building
Kids at home
building
cannot.
IKEA furniture right now.
Very nice. The kids at home can just enjoy a little bit of shrine work while we wait for Bobby to get back for the grand debate.
Yeah, well let me just go on my is this not the one you said? I think you said it was this one. Oh, it's that one. Okay. Let me just tell you my what? Okay. Let me tell you a little bit about IKEA furniture, Travis. All right.
All right.
I'm a big IKEA guy. Okay.
I think the only thing I've ever gotten from IKEA were curtains.
I get a lot of stuff from IKEA. Why is this is not catching. I'm a big IKEA guy. I love IKEA.
Mm-hmm.
And I bought some IKEA IKEA furniture. So I've been trying to live. Have you ever seen the movie Fight Club?
Yeah, you're trying to live by the motto of when he's trying to fall asleep in the airplane, I think it is, and he's talking about all the stuff you buy out of the catalogs.
Yeah, I like to live. Yeah, like the beginning of Fight Club. Like that to me is the good part of Fight Club.
Yeah.
The feet came out. Is that foot come off? No. Sorry, I'm trying to get this screw. This screw won't cut. Does it matter if the screw doesn't go in? I'm gonna put it up here, and we'll get to it later. I'm gonna put this foot on. Foot fell off. The rubber foot that the thing sits on. All right, I'm going in the other room now. So, all right, what was I saying?
You're trying to live like the first part of Fight Club.
Yeah, I'm living like the first. Everyone likes to say that they want to live like the end of Fight Club. Like everyone says they want to live like in Fight Club. So you're telling me you want to live like a schizophrenic homeless man that gets into street fights constantly? That's how you wanna live? Because that's ultimately, you boil it down, that's what what even is his name?
The narrator I don't think has a name in the movie.
No, but
Tyler Durden?
Tyler Durden. I mean, the narrator is Tyler Durden.
Well, kind of, but not really. By the way,
Tyler
thanks for the
Durden.
spoilers.
Tyler Durden is a schizophrenic homeless man who's squatting. He doesn't know he squats in an abandoned house on the bad side of town. And you know what he does in his spare time?
What does he do?
He beats people up in an underground street fighting ring, and then does domestic terrorism.
That's a no-go.
I mean, that's ultimately what it is.
Yeah.
So sorry if I think it's better to live like Tyler Durden at the beginning of the movie, before he becomes a schizophrenic homeless man that engages in blowing up buildings, and instead prefer to buy IKEA furniture and make my apartment seem nice, and pre-order amiibos and, you know, play Zelda.
I can't say I disagree, honestly. There's something to be said about the creature comforts of life. And
They're very comfortable.
getting a cool new TV stand or whatever it is.
So the dresser, I bought a Hemnes dresser, and I bought it online. I ordered it online, and I had it shipped to an IKEA pickup point. Let me tell you about these IKEA pickup points. They are a warehouse on the edge of town, really close to where Tyler Durden's squatting was. But
Was it filmed in your city?
no, I'm making a joke as to what part of the town is. It's in the warehouse district, right? So there's a warehouse on the edge of town, you know, next to the train tracks, bunch of trucks everywhere, and then that's your IKEA pickup point, which makes sense, right? Because like the whole point is like, you know, it's flat pack shipping. The whole point is easy to ship. I get there, right, and there's a check-in price. You go online, you hit a button, and it says like, "Hey, I'm here to check in this stuff." And they send you a text. And I made a text that says, you know, back your car up by door 5. And I go outside and I see, and the only doors that are numbered are like the cargo doors for the semi trucks, and they're all like you know how tall they are, right? Like they're huge. And I'm thinking, like, is this right? Or, like, do they have, like, a second, like, because it's an IKEA pickup point, do they have, like, an actual, like, door for, like, car people? And I go and I ask the guy, he goes, no, that's the right door. So I back up, like, next to these semi-trucks. I'm backed up in this, you know, spot here. Guy opens the door, and, he, just kind of has to hop down and slide the stuff in my car. They slide in my car. It's great. And I had a sedan. I drive a sedan, and guess what?
What happened?
Everything fit perfectly.
Wow.
You know why?
Why? Because you have a
'Cause you don't-
Mitsubishi, whatever it's called?
Yeah, because you don't need a big, humongous SUV to pick up IKEA furniture. All right.
Right.
You can pick it up in a sedan. You don't need a massive car to pick this stuff up. All right. And so
I'm
people
doing a
that are
wee bit
like
of hunting.
people will buy SUVs and stuff literally because they're like I need the space to haul stuff. I gotta haul stuff. I gotta get a lot of furniture. Like what if I have to grab furniture? All right. Well, what furniture are you grabbing? Right? I grab two types of furniture. Right? It's either the free furniture that's on the side of the road that I pick up and walk back to my apartment, or it's brand new IKEA flat pack furniture, which fits perfectly in my car. So if you're gonna buy an SUV and say I need space in the SUV to to carry furniture, really? Do you know? Because I was able to carry furniture perfectly fine in my sedan.
Speaking of which, one of my best friends, he did this thing where I don't know if he was getting rid of an old CRT TV or something, and people are gonna hate this. But for whatever reason, he decided one day, I'm gonna take a bat to the TV. I'm gonna break it, and I'm gonna have fun with it. And so he does exactly that.
Like a
And-
Diet Elvis.
Yeah. And so he then decides that whenever he sees a TV on the side of the road, like someone's getting rid of it, an old CRT, he picks it up. And he did this a couple different times. Someone's getting rid of it, or someone else can pick it up. He'll take it, and then he'll beat it in with a bat. And one time, he found one on my street. And instead of beating it in with the bat, he's like, I got you a new TV. And it just sat in the closet for a couple months. I appreciated the gesture. But it was just like, he was like a bloodhound for CRT TVs.
That can be dangerous though, because like the mercury or whatever it's in them.
They use mercury in those?
Well, or something. I mean, it's an
Yeah.
electron gun. It shoots electrons.
Right. Well, we'll settle on it's dangerous and that we don't advise this.
But it is kind of fun. I mean, you have those rampage rooms now that are springing up everywhere.
I've never heard of those. I don't know.
You
that
don't
was a
have those
thing.
you don't have those in your city?
I
Yeah,
don't know.
Buffalo-
I know about
we-
escape rooms.
No, this is different. This is have you ever seen can I send you a video on YouTube and you pull it up real quick?
Yeah.
We'll watch it. So I got I'm trying to find the trying to find the video. Just give me a second. Man, this is harder than I'm thinking.
Here, let me get it ready on my end. So once you send me the link, I can just switch over.
Fuck. Man, this is I don't know what they called it. So it's I'm having a hard time finding it. Oh, I think I found it. Nope. That's not it. That's not it at all.
All right.
Let me find it. I'll let you keep talking. You keep talking.
Well, the next thing I had was a bit of a shaky debate. I was gonna get a debate in with you, so we might hold off on that.
Yeah, this is not really going well if I can't find the video quickly.
So you're looking for something on
I'm looking for something on YouTube. It's a white is because you know sketch. I'm trying to find, but I can't find the right one. Because they literally did a sketch about like basically about a rampage room. And fuck. Yeah, now I can't find the I know, thank you. That's what we need. Alright, I guess never mind.
Alright.
I'm gonna try and find it.
Well, I got a pretty good kill while you're looking for that.
Alright, so what's this great debate?
So, a viewer contacted me, and they said, "Hey, I heard there's a Bobby guy. He's got a bit of an opinion." That's right, folks. And I said, "Hold on, rewind. I need to ask him about what this opinion is." And so now we're waiting, and we need to see if that's true. Bobby, I heard you've had some controversial views as far as Nintendo not making modern making consoles that can support the games they've made. Most famously, as some people know, and we can start here and then move on, Nintendo has a really bad habit, and I'll tell you exactly what that habit is. Nintendo will make really good games. Earlier in this podcast, we were talking about Ocarina of Time, which did not receive, well, it did receive a couple ports. Okay, well, we won't mention that. But Nintendo has a really bad habit of making games that either become classics or cult classics or whatever for any given console, whether it be N64 or the GameCube or the Wii or the DS, the Wii and DS being two big ones. And then they don't ever port it to anything. And so these games, I don't know if you would technically call them abandonware, but there's almost no legal way to play these games anymore unless you go out of your way to buy an old console. Like when I was in 7th grade, I bought a N64 and a couple cartridges off of eBay because I did that for my birthday because I really wanted to play the original Banjo-Kazooie games, and I don't think there was another way to play them. So it puts people in the corner where some people have brought up the idea of emulating. Now, emulating under certain conditions, under most conditions, is illegal. But Nintendo has not done a very good job at porting these games over so people can play them nowadays. I have heard that you're of the opinion that that's a good thing. Would you like to explain yourself for us?
Well, yeah, so did you just feed your motorcycle apples?
That's how it works, yeah. You give it items, you can give it meat, you can give it apples, and it rejuvenates the motorcycle so you can continue to run it. Because you don't have oil in Hyrule.
Wild.
Yeah.
Yeah, so here's my take on Nintendo not porting stuff. It's not easy because Nintendo, at the end of the day, you know, people think of Nintendo as a video game company. They think of Nintendo as a video game manufacturer. And the problem people see is they think of video games as a piece of art or a piece of media. And I'm not saying it's not, and I'm not saying video games can't be art. That is not what I'm saying. Video games absolutely can be art. And there's a lot of video games that I would classify as art, and there's a lot of video games that I'd say are just media. That video games can be media, they can be art.
I would argue
However,
media is art, but
well, yeah,
that's
but
another discussion.
as opposed to a toy. Nintendo, at the end of the day, is a toy company. Since 1896, it's been a toy company. And their modus operandi is to create toys and to build stuff that give children full of cheer. And so video games, the things they do with video games that make them toys are they add some gimmicks to them. And every single console that Nintendo has ever created had some sort of gimmick associated with it. Every single console. The Nintendo Entertainment System, the gimmick was Rob the Robot, right? They came out with Rob the Robot with the NES.
Well, but that's not intrinsic
in 1983.
to the console
In 1983, yeah, but it's a gimmick. With the NES, I mean, the whole thing at the time was a gimmick too, because it was at a period of time where video games. It was during the great video game crash of 1983, so it was. There's some gimmicks. The SNES had some gimmicks. I mean, you could say that the Mode 8 was to a certain extent a gimmicky kind of thing, and they had some stuff. I mean, pretty much and all their controllers are always a little different. A little gimmicky, like the N64 controller is wild. The GameCube controller, which is arguably one of the best controller designs out there, definitely a bit gimmicky. And it wasn't until really the Nintendo Switch that they just kind of followed the standard controller design, at least the standard concept of controller design. The Wii was all motion control, so there's always been gimmicks and stuff. And with their handhelds, I mean, the Game Boy in and of itself is a gimmick because it's portable, portable video games. You had the
game for boys.
Yeah, the DS was a gimmicky, and there's two screens, and one's a touchscreen. The 3DS is a super big gimmick because it's 3D, and so to try and port that sort of stuff, all the games, especially all the cult classic games, most of them, because it's Nintendo is building these games, and they're building these games for these systems. They're like flagship games for the system. Those games incorporate the gimmicks of the system into them. I mean, if you think about Ocarina of Time, they ported it to 3DS. But if you think about it, they had to really change a lot of the HUD on the 3DS version, because if you think about how the game looks on N64, they have the buttons that tell you what to do arranged in the way that the N64 arranged, for Wind Waker, arranged in the way that it looks like on your controller. Mm-hmm. And the controller's different now because it's a different console.
Right.
Phantom Hourglass most DS games can't get properly ported because there's gimmicks revolved around the device. Like in Phantom Hourglass, you have to shut the lid to solve a puzzle. You use the touchscreen to move and stuff.
You had to shut the lid? Never mind.
Yeah, there's a puzzle in Phantom Hourglass where you basically you have a map on one screen, and you can draw your map on the bottom screen. You shut the lid to transpose the map from one screen to the other.
I don't remember this.
There's a part where you blow into the mic to get stuff to go. I mean, in Ten Dogs, you talk into the mic.
Yep.
To get commands. So these things are not very easy to port to other systems. I mean, hell, they had gimmicks in. Remember Pokemon? There's some Pokemon games where they came out with the Watch thing for the DS version, but the 3DS version, because the 3DS had a pedometer in it, you could just shut your DS lid and it would, you would have to walk a certain amount of steps to beat games and do content in the games. You can't mimic that. You port that over easily. And part of it, you don't want to necessarily port that over because even if you could port it over and change the mechanic, you're losing that je ne sais quoi. You're losing that wonderfulness that Nintendo puts into these into their games. At least in my opinion, I feel like you really lose a lot. And yes, a lot of games can be ported relatively easily. A lot of the NES and SNES games, especially the console games, can be ported relatively easily. But
Excuse me.
I still feel like you lose some of the je ne sais quoi about them.
Yeah, but these games, Nintendo, their position is hard to jive with that though, right? Because they are some of the strictest to go after, emulation, for example. Sometimes even footage of people who mod their games. Yet at the same time, they see no obligation to port these games over, and eventually you force people into the position where it's like, there's no choice.
I agree with that. I absolutely agree with that. However, I agree that that's a problem. However, I disagree with the solution of they should be porting over the games. I think what Nintendo should be doing, and I understand that they never will, because it will cost them way too much money. And I mean, it costs them too much money to port the games. That's why they don't. What I would have liked to have seen Nintendo do is to just allow you to for them to never stop manufacturing their older consoles. You should be allowed to buy a brand new N64 or a brand new, DS.
But what if you want the original Legend of Zelda came out almost 30 years ago. Over 25 years ago, at least. What if you wanted to see like a remaster or remake of it? Right?
Yeah, I don't really the whole idea of remasters, I'm not a big fan of them, honestly. Like there have been good remasters. Definitely been good remasters, but to a certain extent, especially with Nintendo games. Now, you talk about a lot of games that really are just media, like Dead Space just came out. Dead Space that's not a game that's meant to be a toy. That is a game that is meant to be content, meant to be media, meant to be a certain form of art. That lends itself well to remastering because really you're updating the graphics, you're making it look nice. But a lot of Nintendo games really took advantage of the hardware they were built for, and were really built in a specific way. That way, like look at Mario, the original Mario Kart, and Captain Falcon. So during the SNES, you had 8 mode levels that basically changed the amount of performance versus graphics on the SNES. And so one of the things was, you could have the highest performance, but it would be like the lowest amount of polygons. So they came out with is the game actually called Captain Falcon, or is it something else?
F-Zero.
F-Zero, thank you. F-Zero, which has Captain Falcon in it.
Yeah.
F-Zero is a Mode 8 game. That had the extra Mode 8 chip on the game cartridge, which is kind of a gimmick. That supercharged the Super Nintendo Entertainment System and allowed for a very fast racing game. Super fast-paced racing game that was unlike anything else.
Yeah.
Well, Nintendo said, okay, well, what if, we want to have a really pretty racing game? But if we have a really pretty racing game, it's going to be super duper slow. Well, if it can't have a racing game that's slow, that's dumb. Well, what if we have fun of it? What is a slow racing style? Go-karts. Okay, let's build a go-kart racing that's going to have a really fun art style, going to be really fun to play, but there's a lot of gimmick, and that's Super Mario Kart. Is at the end of the day a gimmick. It was built, the original Mario Kart was built because of the limitations of the system. It was really built for Super Nintendo. And does Super Mario Kart lend itself well to being ported? Absolutely. In fact, I think Super Mario Kart would have been I would have loved to have seen them port Super Mario Kart to the 3DS, because the way it's played is it's always played in split screen. the top is always your cart and the bottom's always the map, which would have been perfect for the two screens on the 3DS. And the way that the way the graphics are would have lent itself really well to 3D. That would have been a cool port. But ultimately, they're built to those consoles. So I think you should just be able to buy, like, you should it cost as cheap as it was back then? No, because they don't have the economies of scale anymore. But Nintendo should allow you to have like one factory that they have that's dedicated to old consoles and old games, and allow you to be like, I would like to buy, a SNES and these games, and then they manufacture it for you and ship it to you. That's what I would like to see. Because I think that's the best way to go about it, is to just play them on the original hardware.
Well, I think some of it too is the convenience, right? Like, Wind Waker's a perfect example. I have a GameCube. I have Wind Waker. I've had problems with my GameCube as of late. My memory card got wiped not that long ago, and I lost a lot of stuff from my childhood that I'm not super excited about. But playing Wind Waker on the aging hardware kind of sucks, but it's also inconvenient, because, I don't have a ton of space to begin with. And so I would like to make do with all the stuff I have right now. I have a PS4 over there. I have the Switch. I have this PC. I want to be able to do everything from there. Wind Waker did receive a port. It received its first port to the Wii U back in like 2013. And they did a remaster. The remaster's really good because the game was already in a good position to be remastered because of the art style. But they haven't ported to the Switch yet, and it's like there's almost no reason not to. Sure, on the Wii U you had the second screen, but it just took over the pause screen that was initially just a regular pause button on the GameCube. And it's like, I'm not going to go and buy a $150, Wii U, how much it costs. Try and find the space for it, or lug it out of a closet every time I want to use it, to play Wind Waker when I could just play it on the Switch. And to me, it's almost offensive that they won't go through with just porting it over. I'm not much of a tech guy, but I would think that...
It's not easy. It's very complicated. I mean, especially for Nintendo.
But you have people do it for free with, like, emulators all the time, right?
Yeah, but they're
so what's the
they're doing because that's an emulation. That's not a port.
Okay, I should say, like the, what do they call it? The Nintendo Switch Online.
That is emulation.
Those are emulation. Exactly. So why can't they just emulate the Wii U version, or even the GameCube version?
The GameCube, maybe they will come out with emulation, but
well,
I mean
it's been
they
rumored
need to.
For years, and then they just never do it.
I mean, they need to build an emulator that's powerful enough and good enough. I mean, a lot of people will build emulations of stuff, and the quality of it there's no standard of quality when some random schmuck does it. But when Nintendo does it, they have the standard of quality. And also porting is very
beg
different.
to differ. The Nintendo 64 emulator that they put out back in, I think it was October 2021, there were a lot of complaints at first about how it was worse than a lot of fan-made ones. And in fact, the same thing was said for the Virtual Console going as far back as the Wii. Now, I enjoyed it, and they rolled out fixes over the next couple of years, but even when they finally do it, it feels haphazard.
I just think people underestimate how difficult it is to get that stuff running properly.
Yeah, I mean,
on the hardware. It's
that.
very complex, especially with Nintendo having very different architectures of hardware. I mean, I remember when the Xbox One came out, and because the Xbox 360 and the Xbox had very similar architecture. So the original Xbox games were almost all immediately backwards compatible on 360.
Yeah.
but when the 1 came out, this has had a completely different architecture. It couldn't just easily backwards compatible the games. They actually had to go through and manually adjust them so that they'd be backwards compatible. And that pissed a lot of people off because it's like, well, the last system was the same. Well, the last system was the same architecture. I mean, the Wii and the GameCube were backwards compatible. Wii was backwards compatible with the GameCube. And that was, I guess, just because they have similar architecture. Game Boy Advance was, I mean, they've always tried that. I will say, Nintendo, at least back in the day, had really good backwards compatibility. Like, they had
GameCube games on the Wii.
You could play GameCube games on the Wii. You could play Game Boy original Game Boy games on the Game Boy Color, and original Game Boy games on the Game Boy Advance. You could play Game Boy Advance games on the DS. You could play DS games on the 3DS. Like, they really did a good job with like, you buy the new system, you're still able to use the old system's games in it, up until recently. And I mean, you could play Game Boy Advance games on the you could play Game Boy Advance games on the Game Boy, on the GameCube, and you could play Game Boy games on the Super Nintendo. So, I think they did a great job with that. But I mean, that's all comes down to architecture. Recently, architecture has changed a lot. So, computer architecture has changed a lot, so it's
famous
difficult.
case that I always understood was the PS3. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, I think the PS3 runs as an emulation itself. And I forget what they did, if they had like 2 graphics cards or they did everything off a CPU or what the deal was. But it was nearly impossible to even port games to it. Like, you know, games that would typically, like Call of Duty, that would come out on the Xbox and the PS3.
Yeah.
And then it got really hard to then do something with those games after the generation was over.
Now, I will say, Sony has done a much better job. Do you know what the most recent PlayStation 2 game is?
PS2 game?
Yeah, I just want to double check so I can get it completely correct. So I want to be factually accurate.
Good. That's what we strive for.
We strive for factual accuracy here. No, it's definitely a PS2 game. It's not a PS1 game.
In fact, while you're doing that, I'm gonna hide my screen for just
Okay.
for
So
just a second
game
here.
releases.
Wait,
So
hold on,
the
hold on,
PlayStation.
Hold on.
Oh.
Give me just 1 second. I'm gonna do a little bit of a switcheroo on my end.
Wait, what's going on?
Whoa! Look who's back! I was just about to end it too, so that was good timing.
Whoa! What happened?
Oh, Bobby's got me emotional. He's put me in a headlock. We're having a bit of a debate here, and things aren't looking that good for me. We're kind of in an intermediary right now. I kind of ran out of things to do on my other file, so I'm popping this open. I switched to my Switch home screen, switching things over so people don't see my stuff, and then
Okay.
how's it going with you?
Nothing much, man. I just I was able to get out of work. And then I saw that the stream was still live, and I thought I'd pop in, see what's going on, and lo and behold, the Yolo Braintrust is still happening.
Yolo Braintrust is still happening.
Why don't I let you guys talk for a little bit? I'm gonna go to the bathroom real quick.
All right.
Yeah, what are you gonna do? Are you gonna take shit?
Yeah, I'm gonna take a shit.
All right. Well, anyway, so what was the recap? What happened on today's pod?
So give me a quick second, real quick.
this is how
A little bit
dedicated
of-
I am to the podcast. You know,
Say
I
what?
had to like as soon as I had a free second, I'm podcasting.
Good. Never stop podcasting.
Never stop podcasting. You know, if people actually followed our Instagram, they'd see what I
They would
post,
know.
and it's all about. They would know about never stopping podcasting.
Yeah, we're on Instagram at Yolo Braintrust
Yolo Braintrust.
on Instagram. So we're back. So today we since you weren't around, we had a long drawn out conversation about Ocarina of Time. I've got news for you as well. But you've been talking, and this is going to be great for our fans at home as well. You've been talking about when are we going to do our 50 subscriber video? When are we going to have our thank you 50 subscriber video? Well, as of today, we're at 46. So it's very possible that next week we'll do a little birthday cake, and congratulations to all 50 of our subs.
Hey man,
We got big stuff on the horizon.
big stuff on the horizon. 46 subs. I mean, think about that. The majority of podcasters never even get to fucking 10 subs. And look at it. We're breaking through the wall. The glass ceiling is there, and we're breaking through it.
And this is live, so in 2-3 years, people can look back on it and say, "I could do it too."
Exactly. You know, when we're at 10K, you know, subs, 30 live viewers, and then they see us winning, that's when they'll know that the Yolo Braintrust was just a couple of guys trying their hand at podcasting.
That's right.
And not some big Joe schmoes who think they're on top of the world.
That's
we do
right.
it for the. We don't do it for some asshole, some corporate overlord, some marketing company. We don't do it for them. We do it for the viewers.
That's right. We have no sponsors, no advertisements. We do it all for you, baby.
Yeah. The Yolo Braintrust runs on coffee.
That's
That's
right.
what it runs on. It runs on caffeine.
The world runs on Starbucks or Dunkin', as they say. But we're
Dunkin's
not doing
all
Dunkin' because we don't have corporate overlords. We're bigger than that. We're better than
We're
that.
bigger than that. Yeah, no, we're not like some Joe Rogan who comes in there and then has an intermission and it's all about some dumb company. No, we're not like that.
That's right. I want to take a second real quick. This is... Folks, I've got a bit of a call out to make. We've got a call out. All three of us on the Yolo Braintrust podcast. Joe Rogan, we've been watching you for years. You used to never take a piss. I watched you for 4 or 5 years. And I was always like, this man doesn't piss. He does 3-4 hours at a time. He never leaves to go take a piss. Now, every podcast, you take a piss break. What is going on with that, man? What is going on with that? That's why Yolo Braintrust, we're popping on the scene. We're letting it all hang. And we don't take piss breaks, except for Bobby right now, who did leave for a piss break, but he'll be back. Just putting that out there.
What the fuck are you talking about? You left for piss breaks.
They don't need to know that. This is a call-out post. If he wants to do his research, he can do his research. But I'm just letting it all hang out there.
That's just wrong. You're giving out wrong info. You're spreading misinformation.
Well,
You're
it's about myself, so I can say whatever wrong information I want about myself. In fact, I'm 6'3". I've got a 6-pack, and
you have $1 million mansion.
I've got $1 million mansion, and I've figured out the chemical formula for the red pill, so I can make them on demand.
You didn't collude with Jeb Bush in the 2014 election.
Well, that I think that one was the 2000 election, but it was a little before my time. I'm not gonna make that claim. That one's a little too easy to disprove.
Collusion with Jeb Bush. Were you involved in making the secret recipe for Bush Light?
No, but I stole Jeb Bush's guacamole recipe. I'll tell you that much. Which, by the way, fuck it. While we're at it, we got another call out to make. Jeb Bush, if you're out there, what the hell are you doing? What the hell are you doing, dude? That's it. That's the call out. Thank you.
Yeah. So just to make it clear, the Yolo Braintrust podcast will never sell out, but me, I'll sell out. Just email me, like personally. Like I'll sell out personally, but I won't let the Yolo Braintrust sell out.
Yeah, I mean, once it gets big enough, you can like have your own like clip industry like Andrew Tate does. You know, like it could be separate from Yolo Braintrust. It's a personal venture.
Oh yeah, 100%. The Yolo Braintrust as a group will never sell out.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, that's another. That's another.
Are you watching?
Oh no, I'm actually doing an activity right now. I'm operating heavy machinery at the moment. No, I'm on the job site right now. Yeah, I'm on the job site right now, buddy.
Yeah,
because I'll never stop grinding. I never stop podcasting. Never stop grinding. Just never stop.
Do you have a message out there for the kids who there's some big stuff that's been happening in America. As of late, they've been rolling back child labor laws in a lot of states, and a lot of kids are about to start grinding. Do you have any words for those kids?
You know, honestly, they're as much as I'll say like kids need to start working in the coal mines at 15 years old. As much as I'll say like it's a joke, obviously, but the things you learn in the workforce you'll never learn in school. So getting out into the workforce early gives kids like an actual workforce. I mean, like an actual workforce like with a proper industry. Like being a barista, being a fast food worker, that's not something to look down upon per se, but it limits what you can learn in the field.
I think the better opportunities you can get, the better. But fast food teaches you a lot. I will say that.
Yeah, I mean, not saying it doesn't teach you anything. It does teach you things, but there's a limit on what you can. Oh, that's another. Okay, but there's a limit on what you can learn in those roles and those fields. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, personally, you learn so much more being in the workforce and doing things for money than you ever will in school. And I'm a big proponent of getting out into the workforce and actually doing shit, especially as a kid. Because a lot of the kids in Generation Z and the generation below Generation Z are genuinely so coddled, they have issues making phone calls and doing things. Well, back in the day, that was the only way to connect with people and contact people. So I've been seeing a trend in the younger generation that they can't do anything anymore. They're stuck to their phones. They're not able to make phone calls and talk to new people. And just do things, just live their lives. Like, kids are afraid to call their doctor and book appointments nowadays.
Yeah. Well,
you know
some of
I mean?
that, too, is... I think some of it, and, you know, Bobby would give you a whole spiel about urbanism. But some of it's because we don't have, like, strong communities anymore. People don't go out as much. And it seems to be a really American problem in that sense. So, yeah, a lot of people don't build the social skills because there's not really, like, the opportunities. But workforces force you to gel with the team typically, to have tough conversations.
And look, honestly, it opens you up to so much more. Like, in the workforce, you see things. So, like, I mean, I'll give a personal example, right? I haven't met many gay people, and I live in New York City.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I live in a large city, but I haven't met many gay people. And that's going into high school and going into college. But when I started working and getting out to the workforce, I met more.
Back from my shit.
Oh, you cut out.
Is Shaw being too based and red-pilled for YouTube again?
No, he's giving advice to the young folk out there. Shaw, if you can hear us, you cut out a little bit. But I know where you're going. You're saying in the workforce, after not knowing or meeting many gay people. There you go.
That's what I'm trying to get at. So, like, these kids that are coddled and, like, holding themselves back from being themselves, if they were out in their workforce more, they'd realize, like, oh, none of this shit matters. Why am I holding myself back? Why am I not learning new things? Why am I not trying different things? Like, oh, it's because this dumb social circle is holding me back, or oh, this phone is holding me back.
Well, I'd say it's a lack thereof, really.
Exactly. I mean, I've seen it myself in high school. Like, I've helped certain personality traits. I'm scared of what that last year.
Oh, we're losing
it's
you
just
a
that
little
you're
bit.
not those here cool, but it doesn't matter. So
It all goes back to...
I'm like, oh,
It all goes
Dude, you're
back
kind
to
of like,
you know,
well,
if you're in your 20s and your social circle isn't talking about, you know, how to get divine beasts in Zelda and, you know, the best GameCube games to legally emulate, then what are you really doing?
Yeah, okay, genuine piece of advice, because it sounds like we lost our good friend, Scott Shaw.
well, I'm here. What are you talking about?
Oh,
I'm
you're
here.
back. You're cutting
Hello?
out.
Oh, my bad. I was here. Bobby was cutting out like crazy, so I just stayed quiet. But
Yeah,
anyways,
I think your connection cut out for a
I
second.
went on my spiel. I went on my spiel. That's just how I feel about it. If I was able to get out to the workforce earlier, I would definitely have a different idea on how to do things in life, and definitely change the way. But I think with age, that just comes in as like a thing, you know.
Yeah, and I
But-
would say I started working at 16. I met a lot of people I wouldn't otherwise meet. I got a good feel on how to introduce yourself to people, how to deal with tense situations. Being able to hold a conversation and gel with people you wouldn't normally run into. Now, if we're giving actual advice to the young people out there, though, I would say I think it's a good thing, but make sure you have enough time to also figure out what your personal interests are. Figure yourself out for a person, because, you know, if you're not having to work because you need the money, do it to learn something and have a little bit of spending money, but then also take time to figure out your interests. I'll say in high school I was really lucky because my friends and I got into Magic the Gathering, and it sounds really nerdy, but every Friday there's something called Friday Night Magic, and it's a big Magic event, and everyone would meet up on Fridays, and I'd play with doctors and lawyers and accountants. And I had one or two of these friends, before we started playing that were like my age, high school aged. And then I met another, I think 4 that I got really tight with. And I'm still friends with them today, and they're the greatest friends I could ask for. And it's, finding community, search for a community, figure out your own personal interests, and working is good too.
Yeah, and I mean, it just opens up your mind to so many things you wouldn't think about doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
Like there are stuff that aren't out there, especially in social circles of younger kids, like younger kids that like doing old people activities like bingo or like chess or something. You know what I mean? Like older people know a lot more about that than what the heck. Sorry about that.
Scott Shaw's having a classic Scarsdale, Arizona driving moment.
Scarsdale, Arizona, New York.
Yeah.
Scarsdale, Arizona. Yeah, we might have to cut that clip out. Maybe I went off on the little. Who cares?
Well, I can I can chop it and screw it a bit.
Nah, who cares?
No, I think there was some good stuff in there. Good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you could leave the cast up. I really don't care. I mean, they can. I live in a city of like fucking. 20 million people.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
And, like, it really doesn't matter. If I lived in fucking Sandwich, Michigan, then maybe it'd be like, oh yeah, there's maybe 20,000 people in Sandwich, Michigan. So it's pretty easy to find people who live in Sandwich, Michigan. But
yeah, I'm gonna make a point to Bobby real quick too. I've noticed in Breath of the Wild, and this is one of my issues with it, is it's a big map, but a lot of these areas, like the one I'm in right now, there's not really much that goes on over here. That's Ganondorf's horse. And so, a lot of it feels like it's big, but big for what? Because there's just not much going on.
Yeah, but I mean, if you take the totality of the spots that are not, if you were to take the Breath of the Wild map and cut out all of the big for what spots, it would still be bigger than the Ocarina of Time map.
Yeah, but I wish they did something with some of these areas. Anyways,
part of it is supposed to be like empty.
Alright, hold up. We were going on a philosophical debate about the workforce and learning things about yourself. And now we're talking about
try and steal Ganondorf's horse?
We're actually talking about Breath of the Wild. If you knew anything about Zelda, Ocarina of Time came out 25 years ago, and Breath of the Wild is a new game. Only
Are you
6 years
actually going
old.
to try and steal his horse right now?
Yeah.
Wait, is that really his horse? Like, what's going to happen?
I think so, technically, yeah. I knew he was in this game. I didn't know where to find it. I don't think he knows I'm here, but I can't get close to him. What the fuck? There we go.
I don't think he says that this place is like there's nothing here, but I mean you've got some stuff here. Like you've got some horses.
I mean,
Like it's meant to be empty. Like not every single fucking inch of America is downtown Manhattan, you know? Like
It isn't. No, it isn't.
there's parts of Kansas that are there's nothing. There's literally nothing.
yeah.
And I think generally going through it you see all of the different aspects of it. It's great.
I feel like there's a lot of stuff that goes, like, this is pretty unexplored. Anyways,
I've definitely seen lots of nothing in America, and you know what? That's what makes our country free, and not like some small European country that has a population of 7 square miles of Manhattan. You know?
yeah. The open space in America is beautiful. I can tell you from one of our old places. Having to drive 3-4 hours to get out there is beautiful. Anyways, it's getting late. I need to go make dinner. I'm glad we're able to get you at the end, Shaw.
Yeah.
It's been good.
NSP, bro. NSP.
Never stop podcasting. That's right. So, with that, let's do a little something for the folks watching. This is the Yolo Braintrust podcast. My name is Travis. Thank you for sticking with us. We have Bobby with us. Bobby, any last words?
My final word tonight is if you do anything, play a video game.
Cool. And Shaw, you have any last words?
Hey, America is beautiful. Don't throw away
America's
the
beautiful.
opportunity America gives you.
That's great. So if you have the opportunity tonight, go play video games, and America is beautiful. That's all we got for you tonight. Thank you so much.
Yolo Braintrust, baby.
The Yolo Braintrust. Thank you, everyone.